That broadcast school has really paid off. CBS presents this program in color.
Hold it now. Hold it. Let's go.
I think you're going to like this picture.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Ready? Go.
Here's Mac Murphy. He's the man of the family more. Here's Mac Murphy. It's the show we promote on the score. Well, he's never been in a press box. I thought with the shock through the locker room door. Yes, here's Mac Murphy. His fans talking.
That's all. Just fans talking to fans. Here on the score. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you from now until 2. What a beautiful, picture-perfect day weather-wise in Chicago. This is when Harry Carey used to say, this is summer resort weather, Stoney. Well, whatever that meant, Harry, you'd be saying it today. All right, let's see now. We have 2 hours of sports talk. I have yellow pads everywhere. I have notes everywhere. Topics for you. You know what? We're going to give the Blackhawks a rest. We're going to, you know what? Let's do this. Let's just devote the next 2 hours to talking baseball. By the way, between now and 2 o'clock, got a pair, that's 2, pair of White Sox tickets for a week from tomorrow, Friday, May 22nd, courtesy of the White Sox and 610thescore.com. Between now and 2 o'clock, when you hear, the next time you hear Hawk say, damn it, be the first one to call our contest line. Should we give the phone number right now, Jay? What do you think? What's the contest line? I always get it messed up.
312-591.
In that order?
6700, yes.
Yeah, I got you that one time. 591-6700. Not now. When you next hear the recording of Hawk saying what he just said between now and 2. All right. Oh, I like this song. Crank it up. It puts me in the mood to talk a little baseball. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Put me in.
Center field.
I'm ready to play.
Now, for Ozzy, that could be almost anybody.
Put me in, coach.
Ozzy, who's going to be in center today? I don't know. I made out the GD lineup. I know you do, Oswaldo. And Murph. And you are. I tell you what, let's do this. Let's open up the phone line. Sox fans. Oh, the Cubs lineup is in. I'll have that for you momentarily. And 644-6767. That's our famous phone number. Sox fans and Cub fans, if you want to beat the crowd, I suggest you dial quickly. Otherwise, I can lead you down the path here to some topical baseball talk. All right, number one. I want to ask Cub fans to help me with this. And then Sox fans, I have something to ask you also. Cub fans, number one, at 644-6767, 14 days ago, the king of all Cub fans, Todd Hollandsworth, was alarmed. He was on the score. He was alarmed. Oh, I'm alarmed. Cubs had lost 7 of 9. And the king of Cub fans, Todd Hollandsworth, was alarmed. Cub fans, number one, are you still alarmed? But more than that, have you heard Todd Hollandsworth on Sports Channel? What is his new angle? I have missed Todd Hollandsworth. Is he still alarmed? If anyone can help me there, has the king of Cub fans, Todd Hollandsworth, become less alarmed? Or is he still very alarmed because they were 7 out of 9 losses just 2 weeks ago on May 1st? And Sox fans, you were very PO'd. As was White Sox management, I do believe. You were very PO'd at Nate Silver and BaseballProspectus.com back in February. I remember Mully. He was really PO'd. And Sox fans were calling in, and front office guys at the White Sox, I don't know about those numbers. Those numbers lie. You know, those numbers. I hate those numbers. God dang those numbers. Those number crunchers. Sox fans, everyone on the South Side was P.O. Deluxe at Nate Silver and BaseballProspectus.com back in February because he picked the White Sox to finish 5th in a 5-team division. Let me ask you right now, Sox fans, who are you P.O.'d at now? Multiple choice. Are you P.O.'d right now, Sox fans, at BaseballProspectus.com and Nate Silver? B, Mr. Reinsdorf. C, Kenny Williams.
Quite honestly, this is starting to piss me off.
D, are you pissed off mostly at yourself? Or F, not pissed off at anyone, Murph. Sox are going to be fine. Sox fans, who are you PO'd at today? Nate Silver, Mr. Reinsdorf, Kenny Williams, yourself, for buying into this, or no one. Cub fans, 14 days ago, the alarms were ringing from the king of all Cub fans, Todd Hollandsworth, here on the score. I'm alarmed. Oh, boy, I'm alarmed. Is he still alarmed? I haven't heard either way. And are you still alarmed? I got so much stuff here. 644-6767. Oh, this might be normally a Murph moment, but we're too busy right now. Gee, do we have Murph moment? Bring me up the Murph moment there. I got a Murph moment. This hour of the score being brought to you by Heart Scan of Chicago. Visit heartscanofchicago.com or give them a call, 312-587-1111.
And now it's time for another Murph moment.
The flags. That's almost like what's your beef? Now he's commingling segments again. I hate when he does that. Murph moment. The flags. Hey, Jay, you know, like when it's what's your beef, you go, the flags? Pretend it's what's your beef. The flags.
The flags.
Oh, funny you should say so. So I turn on the Cub game, which, by the way, you didn't know when it was going to start because it was delayed by rain, right? So I turn it on back and forth in there. So I missed, like, the first pitch. Fine. All I hear about, and this is not towards Len Casper or Bob Brenly, all I hear about is how windy it is and how the wind's affecting the flight of the balls and how the outfielders are circling the wagons and the balls are being affected by the wind, and not once. I forgot. Is this Tuesday? Is this beef or is this Murph moment, Jay?
It's Murph moment.
Okay, yeah.
Keep going.
Never do they show the flags. You know, you think that the director, God love Arnie Harris, may he rest in. So you think the guy down in the truck would say, camera 1, flags. Camera 3, show me the flags. So that maybe the knuckleheads at home like me watching on TV can see which way the wind is actually blowing. Or as Bob Dylan said, you don't have to be a weatherman to know which way the wind's blowing. Now, guess when the flags were first shown? 7th inning. Thank you very much. 7th inning, they said, hey, look at the flags. As the monsoon was on its way. Sox fans, who are you pissed at? Cub fans, is anyone still alarmed? Are you still alarmed? And I'm going to, Cub fans, pinpoint the day and the inning and the batter that turned around a guy like Todd Hollandsworth. It happened on May 1st. They had lost 7 of 9, and the alarms were blowing at Comcast Sportsnet with the interesting spiky cough. Todd Hollandsworth, king of all Cub fans. Let's go to John from Glen Ellen. Hello, John.
Hey, my first-time caller. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. I love my first-time callers. You want to talk a little White Sox? Let me ask you. Everyone was P.O. Deluxe at Nate Silver in Baseball Prospectus back in February on the South Side. Who are you pissed off at now?
I guess if I was to be pissed off at anyone, it would be Kenny Williams.
Ah, well, why would that be, though? What has he done?
Well, I think what he hasn't done was he's first to take He's first to take the credit when team's doing well. It's his team, but I haven't heard him take the credit for what's going on now, like John Garland. You know, he could have spent a little money and reassured when he knows he's going into the season with Jose Contreras.
But hold that thought. Hold that thought, John. Who makes the budget? Up until there, I was with you. But then you said his money. Whose money is it? Is it yours? Is it mine? Is it Kenny's? No.
Well, we all know whose money it is.
Well, then when you talk about the money, you can't necessarily blame Kenny Williams for lack of spending.
Well, that may be true, but I think he's the closest to the money bag, so he could shake it a little bit.
I love it. Hey, next time you call, you'll be a second-time caller, okay, John?
Hey, thanks, Murph.
All right, buddy.
Heck, I'll come out to your house and give you this money.
644-6767. Hey, we got 2 Sox tickets between now and 2 o'clock. When you hear Hawkaroo, call the contest line, 591-6700. Hey, Jay Zawoski, have you heard this phrase lately? Backloaded contracts?
Yes.
Lately? Not recently.
Well, yeah, maybe not.
Not the last few weeks.
You're right.
You know what is just as insidious, just as problematic as backloaded contracts, which would be this. Contracts that are 1 year too long. I don't hear that coming out of the speaker lately, do you?
No.
No. Konerko, Tomei, Guy, Contreras. All winter I would hear the experts. All you little leaguers out there, be very, very careful of those backloaded contracts. But nothing about the contract that maybe goes 1 year too long. I haven't heard that lately. Oh, by the way, Cub fans, the thing that turned this season around, you can pinpoint it to May 1st. Happy birthday, Murph. May 1st, the Cubs had lost 7 of 9. They were trailing 5-2. They were trailing the Marlins at home, right. Friday, May 1st, they had lost 7 out of 9. They were ready to lose their third in a row. They were trailing the Marlins 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning with the bases loaded and 2 out, and guess who came to the plate? Ryan Theriot. Remember what he did? Grand salami, right? Put the Cubs up 6-5. Since May 1st, they lost 7 out of 9. Theriot with 2 out, down 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning, heading to their third loss in a row. 8 out of their last 10. Theriot hits a grand slam. And you know what? Ever since that day, they have won 9 out of 12. Since Theriot's grand slam. They were 1 game under 500. Now they're 5 games above 500. Ryan Theriot turned it around. He turned the ball around. He turned the season around. And I don't know if the King of the Cub fans is still alarmed or not. I haven't had a chance to check them out. 644-6767. Let's go to Joe in Stickney. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Hey, fine.
You know, as you said that, I was telling Jay that about Theriot hitting that grand slam. I'm concerned about him, though, trying to pull everything, Murph.
Yeah. Very interesting what's going on with Ryan Theriot. Last night, Ryan Theriot hits 2 home runs, of course, right, Joe?
Right.
But earlier this week, he was pulling off the ball. In my opinion, I'm not Gerald Perry. You're not a professional hitting coach, but you watch the games. I watch the games. I was worried that he was trying to jackaroo everything, weren't you?
Yes, I was. That's what I was concerned about.
Now, are you looking at are you hearing Joe, are you behind me? Are you looking at my yellow pad? Joe from Stickney, you always read my mind. I was going to throw this out. I'll start it with you.
Okay.
Last night, though they never showed the stinking flags till the 7th inning on TV. They just kept telling us how freaking windy it was. But the wind was blowing out approximately 25 miles an hour, give or take, right?
Right.
All right, now, Theriot steps to the plate and hits the first home run, front row.
Theriot lifts to deep center. Hairston back on the warning track. Gone! Back to back.
All right, there's a front row, second row, with the wind aiding the ball. Now, the next home run by Ryan. Well, here we have it right here, Comcast Sportsnet. Let's go to Lenny Casper again.
Theriot goes deep to left. And it's gone! Just got out. He's gone deep twice tonight.
All right. Now, Joe from Stickney, here's my question. Don't answer real quick. If the wind had not been blowing out 25, but had been blowing in 25 miles an hour. This is like where's my what if bill? All right. What if last night, Joe from Stickney, the wind had been blowing in 25 miles an hour? I'm going to try to trick you with this question. Would those balls have been home runs? No. Where would those balls have landed, do you think, Joe?
Well, probably at mid left field.
But is Theriot, here's the question. Yes, you're right. But is Theriot smart enough? I don't know this. Did he see the flags blowing out and said, I got a couple of balls in the wheelhouse here, I'm going to turn on them, and, they drop in the front row, wind-aided home runs. Had the wind been blowing in 25, Joe, do you think he would have still tried to jack fly balls? Or, and I've had arguments in the hallway here for the last 2 hours before my show, I think he would have gone to right field and tried to hit some of his ground ball, line drive, base hits the other direction and not flown out to short left field can of corn.
Well, that's what I hope he do. He's got the instincts to do that.
That's the question. Do you think that he planned to hit fly balls knowing the wind was blowing out, or was he just swinging blindly and got lucky?
No, he wasn't swinging blindly. I think he was trying for him, but if the wind wasn't blowing out, he would have went to right field. I'm
bingo. Of course he would have. I've got so many arguments over here. No, Murph, Terrio, he wouldn't have gone. I say he would have gone to right field if the wind was blowing in 25 because he's a step ahead of the average guy out there. Joe, you're the best, buddy. I got to take a break, all right?
Okay, Murph, take care.
All right, pal. I appreciate it very, very much. Hey, you got to see Jack.com. My guys, Jack Phelan Chevrolet. Best time in your lifetime to buy a brand new Chevrolet. I don't care if you're 20 years old, 60 years old, 80 years old, 40 years old. Best time in your lifetime to buy a brand new Chevrolet. Jack Phelan Chevrolet. You gotta see Jack.com. Harlan and Ogden over in Lions. Sports Radio 670. It's Murph-a-Palooza. Back in a flash. I got the Cubs lineup in also when we return. Sox fans have taken over the phone lines, I know.
Attention, please.
Lineups are in.
Have your pencil and scorecards ready.
From Wrigley Field.
I'll give you the correct lineup for today's ball game.
Batting order for the Cubs. All right, Lou, today, let's see now, day game after a night game. Hey, they're facing Chad Godin. I got an email the other day. Murph, we missed Chad Godin. How come he's not with the Cubs anymore? Well, if you want a guy in September when you need him to step off a loading dock late at night off behind a restaurant in Chicago and almost crack his ribs open on a dumpster, well, then you know what? You probably do miss him. Soriano, Terrio, Fukudome, Hoffpower, Soto, Johnson, Scales, Miles, and Dempster. You got Soriano, left field, Terrio at shortstop, Fukudome in right field batting third, Hoffpower, we're going to talk about Derek Lee, clean up at first base. Soto's up to the 5-hole catching. Reed Johnson gets center field today. The kid, the 31-year-old Flash, Scales at third base in the 7-hole. Miles at second, and Dempster's pitching. Let me just say this about Derek Lee. I can handle when a guy is physically overmatched, as he is at the plate. By the way, why Lou started him in the game one Tuesday night after being out for 5 days against Peavy when Hoffpower had been in a groove, I would have to ask Lou face-to-face over a glass of Merlot what the hell he's thinking. But I can handle a guy who's overmatched, timing is bad, can't flat hit. But how about in a Cub game? Anyone talking about this? How he didn't know how many outs there were yesterday? That's inexcusable. Your head's not in the game. Derek Lee must have a lot going on up in the head right there. Because yesterday, top of the second inning, first and second and 2 out for San Diego. Their batter, I believe, was Hairston. Hit a pop out behind first base. He backpedaled, made the catch in the wind to end the inning. See what he did? Oh, by the way, the runners run first and second running, of course, with 2 out, right? Derek Lee catches the ball for the 3rd out, looks around and throws the ball home. Hey, those runners are trying to score. 3 out, Derek. See, when a guy does that, it's got nothing to do with the fact that he can't hit unless he's thinking about it. And I'll tell you another thing. Let me ask a Cub fan out there. Are you getting tired of everybody from our TV, radio guys up and down the line talking about the Gold Glover, Derek Lee? He sucks at first base. I've heard everybody from fans, experts, people that should know better. Oh, Derek Lee, the Gold Glover. He flat sucks at first base. I don't know, again, if it's the visual problem, if he needs eyeglasses, if he's not into it, if he's not thinking. I just don't know. Let's go to the phone lines. Sox fans, you were PO'd a while ago in February at baseballprospectus.com. And Nate Silver, who you PO'd at now? Northwest Side Bill is on the score.
Hey, Murph, first of all, I'm not a first-time caller. I've been talking to you for over 20 years.
Long-time caller, Bill.
Yes, you know what? WLS and the other stations.
Oh, yes,
I'm your
thank you.
biggest fan.
Thank you.
But let me say this.
God, thank you very much. It's Murph. All right, we're going to get right back to the phones. 2 hours of baseball today, including Jim Callis from BaseballAmerica.com in the 1 o'clock hour. We've been so Blackhawk heavy. By the way, Vuk is on your side. My guy, Jeff Vukovich, is Murph's Nationwide Insurance Agent of the Year. Everybody knows Vuk. Someday, I predict you will know Vuk also for all your insurance needs in Park Ridge. Let's get back to the phones. Sox fans asking you, everybody on the south side, front office, fans, everybody that loves the White Sox was PO'd at Nate Silver in Baseball Prospectus back in February for saying, the Sox look like a fifth-place team. Who you PO'd at now? Is it still Nate Silver at Baseball Prospectus? Is it Kenny? Is it Jerry? Are you PO'd at yourself? Because maybe you bought into this bigger than you should have, or are you just PO'd at nobody? And Cub fans, a couple things for you. Number one, Soto is starting to go. He started going the other way with the ball earlier in the week. Started going up the middle, a little bit to right field. What do you know? He's on the. He's not lunging. He's on the ball right now. Cub fans want to ask you a question. Am I crazy that it looks like Fukudome is a better center fielder than he was a right fielder? And he was a very good defensive right fielder. I think he's even better in center. And let me ask you about Fontenot. Now that he's been at third base a little bit, and they've got a lot of backup now. See, the great thing about what Jim Hendry has done, sure, you're going to miss Aramis Ramirez, but today Scales at third. You got Fontenot can play third. Aaron Miles can play third in a pinch. And Friel, you got to learn to love your Ryan Friel, by the way. But my question is, Cub fans, two things. Number one, am I crazy that it looks like Fukudome's even better in center, a tougher position, than he was in right? And now that you've seen Fontenot at third, he's not half bad. He's not, he took a lot of heat because he butchered a couple balls his first day at third base. It's not that bad. He's got a pretty good hose, third base. I don't know if he's got third base hose. He's got good enough hose. And I'll say this still. The two balls that Hoffpower had trouble with in right field that day, everyone just jumped on him because they'd lost 7 out of 9. And, Todd Hollingsworth said we should be alarmed. Let's go back to the phone lines. It's Murph. Text question. Jay Zawoski, can we set this up letter H for Hoffpower, K for Konerko or Lee, L for Derek Lee? H, K, or L? Hoffpower, Konerko, Lee at 67011. If you were a general manager of a team other than the Cubs or Sox, and your first baseman went down, or was steroids or HGH or whatever this female thing is now. If you lost your first baseman and you could have, boom, immediately a first baseman, would you want H, Hoffpower, K, Konerko, or L, Lee? H me, K me, or L me? 67011, texting driven by U.S. Cellular. Let's get to the phone line. And Jay, is that all the topics we have on the table right now? Center field, is Fukudome better there? Fontenot, is he better there? We covered just about everything here.
What about Derek Lee not knowing
Derek Lee, thank you. Second inning, 2 out, first and second, and there's a pop-up behind first base. A little windy. Got to look at the flags, which they never show you at home on TV, like it doesn't even matter, like a bunch of idiots watching their game on their TV. And then Derek Lee catches the ball to end the inning. The runners, of course, are going with the pop-up, 2 out. And then he threw the ball home. Evidently, he didn't know how many outs there are. Now, Jay, you're a big baseball fan. Did you notice that when you were watching?
Well, when I saw it, I thought he knew, and then he doubted himself because he saw the Padres base runners were running and crossing home plate just anyway, even though the inning was over. So I think he panicked and just threw it. And he just lobbed it real soft, and it just rolled to the wall.
Well, number one, they figured a pop-up to him, anything can happen. It's Wednesday. It's anything can happen day. Travis Bickle. Anything can happen day when there's a ball anywhere near Derek Lee now. Ground ball, peg over to first, pop-up. Anything can happen. But you're saying, and you're right, he looked up and sort of half-heartedly threw it home, right, to the two runners with 3 out.
Yeah, just almost like I better make sure.
So I'll buy in with you on that.
Okay.
But the real point is, what you're saying is he wasn't 100% sure it was 3 out, right?
Right.
Okay. Let's go back to the phone lines. And Steve from Valpo on the score. Hello, Steve.
I will.
We're very green here. Recycling an inside radio term for when the 7-second delay catches back up, right? Look at you wearing a green score T-shirt there, Jay. And we're green. We recycle our dead air.
Yes, we do. We're very conscious that way.
I don't think we have to dump that anymore.
If I have a question in my mind, I dump it. Just like Derek Lee throwing home. If I have any doubt at all, I'm doing it.
Murph, you're a D-bag.
Yeah, that's what he said. A little more less subtle than that.
I'm pretty sure I've heard Rokan use the whole word on the air. Let's go to, but again, discretion is a better part of valor. Jack Brickhouse, 1962. Let's go to Randy from Fisher. Hello, Randy.
Hey, Murph, what's going on?
I'm just an old D-bag. Randy, hey, what do you have for me, Randy?
Well, as far as Halls were saying, to be alarmed and this and that, I tend to believe that. Just a couple things. Number one,
you're talking about the Cubs and Todd Hollandsworth, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
I believe that the talent always starts to rise above. What will happen is they're going to be fine. I certainly don't think that St. Louis, Milwaukee, and Cincinnati will continue to do what they're doing, and the Cubs, the talent will continue to rise to the top, and I think they'll be fine.
Hold that thought, Randy. You said something that's right on my yellow pad, my friend. You're talking about the Cardinals. They lost in the last 7 days 2/3 of their starting outfield. They lost Rick Ankiel on the DL, and they lost Ludwig also on the DL for 15 days each. And what do you know? They've won, 3-7 their last 10, I believe, right?
Right.
So when you lose players, you can't get on the radio and claim to be a Cubs expert and be alarmed instead of telling the fans the facts and the truth, right?
Exactly.
All right, but the spiky hair looks good. Thank you. Hey, Randy, where is Fisher, Illinois?
Hey, I am 20 miles north of Champaign.
Oh, I'll tell you what, when I get down to Bourbonnais doing the Bears, I'm going to drive down and say hi to everybody in Fisher, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. 644-6767. All right, text me. 67011. Everybody's eligible. If you were starting, if you needed a first baseman today for your club, and you're not the GM of the Cubs or the Sox, if you were starting a team or you needed to replace your first baseman right now, and your scouts come to you and they say, hey, you know what? We can get Hoffpower, and we can get Konerko, and we can get Derek Lee. Who would you take? 644-6767. This is Hour of the Score brought to you by HeartScan of Chicago. Visit heartscanofchicago.com or visit 312-587-1111. Let's go to, it's my guy Southside Rodney.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey, Rodney. You remember back in February, the executives, a lot of the Sox fans, and nobody likes to be dissed, in February, but the crunchers of the numbers over there, they said, well, it looks like it might not be good for the Sox, and everyone was PO'd. But who are the Sox fans, and you're the perfect guy, who are you PO'd at these days, if anybody, Rodney?
The entire White Sox organization, and the reason why I say that is they tried to sucker the White Sox fans into believing that youth is great, and it's not a bad thing. The problem is that the youth the Sox got, the youth the Sox have is terrible. They can't play.
Well, the youth right now, the best of the lot, is in the minors, and I don't think you want to rush Gordon Beckham up necessarily into this problem right now. Or would you say, you know what? This is not over yet. Let's bring up Gordon Beckham and move X-Ram maybe to... What would you do now, or is a horse out of the barn already?
Well, first of all, I would leave Gordon Beckham down there in the minors to develop. However, I mean, the Sox' major problem is that guys like Brent Littlebridge can't play.
Right.
You got Josh Fields can't play.
Right.
You got the trade when they traded Swisher and Marquez was supposed to have been the so-called fifth guy.
Right.
He can't play.
No.
I was looking at Clayton Richards' minor league record to see why did the White Sox bring him up, and even his minor league numbers are not outstanding. So I'm saying is the White Sox tried to pass that along to everybody in the offseason, and it's not working.
Well, they were in a dilemma in that they could either spend more money or spend less money, and they opted, is this a surprise, to spend less money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised with that, but they kept telling us, feeding us down the throat about how much great young talent they have, and these guys are going to be, major league contributors, and these guys haven't shown anything.
Now, you see what Rodney, it's always great to visit with you. Let me keep you on the line one more second. What I meant a moment ago was you could either spend more or spend less, was this. They knew that they had in my opinion, it was an older team. But they try to say it was, we're young and up and coming. What I would have thought they could have done is this, Rodney. Maybe you'll agree. You got Konerko, you got Tomei, you got Dye, and you got a lot of older guys in their last year. You could have said, you know what? Screw the economy. We want to reward our fans for that blackout, remember, where everyone came out 45,000. The fans were terrific last year. Let's reward it. Let's go for it. See, they could have said it's going to cost us an extra $10 million, but we're going to go for it. But they went the other direction, didn't they?
Yeah, and that was an excellent idea because, to be honest with you, a lot of these guys, their contracts are up after the end of the year.
Right.
So it would have been the perfect time to go for it.
Yes. You see, you just hit the nail on the head. They have these guys, like the baseball expert here talks about back-loaded. He never like Soriano, Jason Marquis, DeRosa, it escalated in the back ends of the years. But he never talks about how maybe you have contracts 1 year too long. So you point out they're all bye-bye. They're all on their walk year. They're all gone at the end of the year. Why not say, hey, you know what, let's pony up and go for it?
That's true, Murph, and I'll leave you with this.
Yes.
It's nothing wrong with young talent, but you got to make sure your young talent can play. And none of them young guys have shown anything.
There's one guy that might be a keeper. I'm not saying he wins the pennant for you, but gets over at second. I love his glove in his arm, and he looks like he can battle about 275. You can win with him if you surround him, but the others I've seen nothing from him, like you say.
At all.
You got it. Hey, I got to run, Rodney. Thanks.
Mike, I appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Bye-bye. And between now and 2 o'clock, when you hear Hawk Harrelson say, "Dadgummit!" No, that wasn't it. That was me. That was the worst Hawk ever. Be the first caller to our contest line when you hear Hawkaroo. 2 tickets, Sox, week from Friday, courtesy of the Sox and the Score. And when we return, I'll give you the early results, or give me a call. Your general manager comes to you. You're the field manager. You go, boy, we lost our first baseman, but I can get Konerko or Hoffpower or Derek Lee. Who do we grab? K, H, or L? 67011. Or send me some radar love. Back in a flash, Sports Radio 670, Murphapalooza, driven to you by Chevy, DriveChicago.com.
The Rifleman.
Let's rifle through these phone calls. It's Murph till 2. Baseball for 2 hours a day. By the way, Jim Callis in a couple minutes from BaseballAmerica.com. David's the car phone. Hello, David.
Hey, Murph, first-time caller. Thanks for taking my call.
Well, David, I got to rifle through these. I appreciate it. Give me the Reader's Digest. Give me the shorty here.
Let me tell you, I would take Hoffpower over anybody because this kid, given a chance, has proven that he can do it, and I think he will.
So you would take Hoffpower right now over Paul Konerko and Derek Lee?
Yes, I would.
I gotta love you.
Derek Lee, I'll admit I'm a Cub fan, but Derek Lee seems like he always gets hurt. And this kid, he's been in the minor for a long time. And
hey, thank you, David. Phone again. You'll be a second-time caller. Got to rifle through these. Vince from Hoffman Estates. Hello, Vince.
Keith played yesterday's game.
Yeah.
Soriano hitting the cutoff man, 3-0 hitting, I think it was whoever the second baseman was, to get the Giles going over second.
Yeah, how about Giles rounding second where there's nowhere to go and they're down by a couple? Soriano.
Good enough to catch it.
So, hey, let me ask you real quick. Fukudome, do you like him more in center field as right field? He's surprised me out in center.
I think he's professional enough. I think that if he's given a situation, he'll do it.
Yeah.
The best wherever he goes.
That's a great answer. He's a step ahead of the game. Maybe not fastest guy, but he always seems to be right place, right time. Vince, I appreciate it very much. Rifling through these calls. Let's go to Steve from Wheaton, Illinois. Hello, Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Steve. You're up. Go.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
I think one of the biggest problems I see with Derek Lee is he's not hitting the ball in right field. And as an ex-baseball player, I played in high school, played in college a little bit. It's frustrating when... he led the league in hitting into double plays last year. Yeah. And, that's when he's rolling, when him and Ramos are rolling, hitting home runs to right center field. Are they trying to work on getting him to hit to right field?
I hope so. I hope they're working on him just hitting the ball on the button. He doesn't even make contact half the time.
I'm getting tired of seeing him ground out to the left side on these little rollover ground balls.
Well, you know what? Hoffpower's in there today, and I don't know if the kid will hit 300, 400, 200, but at least he gives you a good hack, and he usually gets some lumber on the ball and makes contact. Steve, I got to go, buddy. Thank you very much. First hour of Murph's history.
If you are considering quitting, I must tell you that it will take you just as long to go back to where you came in as it will to continue to the end. So you might as well go ahead after this word from your local station.
Murphapalooza, hour number 2. There ain't no road like it.
There ain't no road like
anywhere.
Anywhere I found. Running south on Lakeshore Drive.
lot of baseball today. We'll get back to our Blackhawks in another day or so. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you. So, last night, you're up watching maybe the Cubs game, the rain delay. You're keeping an eye with one eye looking in the corner at the Twins and the Tigers. This was a wacky game. By the way, Jim Callis joins me next from BaseballAmerica.com. The game was, I believe, let's see here, it was 9-9 going into extras. The Tigers in Minnesota, Tigers in the top of 13 push a run across on a balk to make it 10-9 Tigers. And I think, well, that does the Twins in, right? No, the Twins tie it. Now it's 10-10 in the bottom of the 13th, and a walk here, a walk there, here a walk, there a walk, everywhere a walk, loads up the bases. 10-10, bottom of the 13th for Joe Creedy.
1-2 to the Twins' third baseman. Curve, wallop to left field. Back, get out of here. Oh, a game-winning grand slam for Joe Creedy.
Oh, man. Joe Creedy, highlights there from MinnesotaTwins.com. This hour of the score brought to you by Menard. Celebrity line ring, and let's punch it up. Let's go to BaseballAmerica.com. Executive Senior Editor, it's Jim Callis. Hello, Jim.
How you doing, Murph?
I'm fine. Fans said of Jim Callis from the beginning. When you'd pick up your Baseball America to go to BaseballAmerica.com, Jim has been there and nice enough to join us periodically. Jim, so much to cover. By the way, baseball fans, if you want to jump back in with our earlier topic, 644-6767, in a minute, Jim, and we've all been there. I've been in radio hell where I make a statement or Swami Murph, and then the next day you go, oh, my God, did I really say that? And probably in Baseball America, you less than me, but sometimes you'll write something. And quite frankly, that's the great thing about either being a fan or being involved is we, you, I, everybody, we have the responsibility to risk being wrong. Sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we all get it wrong. Right, Jim?
I just minutes ago sent a projected first round for the 2009 baseball draft.
Wow.
And I can tell you right now, if I get 6 out of the 32 picks right, this far ahead of the draft, I'm probably doing pretty good. So.
Well, that would probably still be the best ratio in the business. I know that. 6 is not easy. All right, Jim, here's where I'm going with this. I have made mistakes or bad predictions. But how about newspaper hell? Krista Luca in yesterday's Chicago Sun-Times writes a feature column, and the headlines are, well, the Peavy deal was close to being made, but when the Cubs traded Jason Marquis and Mark DeRosa, that's what hurt the Cubs the most. He sits down, writes the column probably on Tuesday for Wednesday's paper. Headline writer says, Marquis, the one that got away, right? Now, did you happen to pull up the Rockies box last night? See, that's what you call being in newspaper hell. The day you write the headline, Jason Marquis, the one that got away, did you see what Jason Marquis put up on his board last night?
I did not, but I'm going to guess it's not very good.
3 2/3, 10 hits, 9 earned runs.
It's funny, too. I'm sure Chris will tell people, too. He didn't write the headline for his story, too. But yeah. The thing is, the funny thing with Marquis is, whose spot would you have him pitching in the rotation? He was an innings eater, but, who's he knocking out of that rotation right now?
Well, there you go. You see, that's why there might have been another hole in the piece, and I'm not here to, I worry about my own little show from noon to 2, and you do a great job. But Sean Marshall, I think, has pitched lights out above and beyond what his numbers show. Here's what is interesting. Who is going to be the Cubs left-hander in the bullpen, Jim Callis? If you happen to notice the Cub game last night, Adrian Gonzalez hit his first homer. He hits a second homer. Now it's 6-3 Cubs in the 7th inning, and up to the plate he comes again, Gonzalez, with 2 on and 2 out. And I'm thinking, here's where you're going to bring in Neil Kotz for the lefty to get the lefty out. That's what you would think, right?
That's why he's on the team.
Yep. Never even warmed him up. Kept Guzman in there. It's just a matter of time. What would you do with the Cubs rotation? Randy Wells will be pitching tomorrow. He had the nice 5-inning, no earned run start for the first Zambrano slot a week ago. Now, if he does well, Randy Wells, tomorrow with Houston at Wrigley Field, Lou Piniella is intimating Of course, he can change his mind, but he's saying that it could be Randy Wells in the rotation and Sean Marshall into the bullpen. I would not like to see Marshall out of the rotation. What about you?
Murph, we agree way too much. We never argue. I'm totally with you on that. I also think it's tough to keep a guy effective. You know, you put Marshall, he's in the rotation. Now you're going to change him to a reliever again. Then what if you need him in the rotation again? I mean, the guy's got about a 4 ERA as your fifth starter. He's pitched, you know, it's not like he's never done this before. And you know, Randy Wells, I mean, to be honest, he's more of a journeyman. I mean, okay, who was the guy who came up a couple years ago and made the emergency start and threw the shutout against the Astros? Remember who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Irish name like O'Malley or
yeah, exactly. And that guy wasn't a prospect. And, you know, eventually got hurt and went away. But, I mean, you know, Randy Wells, you know, he's 26. He's not a big-time prospect. Yeah, I mean, he pitched well for 5 innings the other day.
But let me ask you this, Jim Cows. Maybe Randy Wells could be that, you know, the fifth inning or sixth inning long guy with Samardzija out of good stead and Patton, the Rule 5 kid, who I still think's got good stuff, and you may not have to deliver him back. You may be able to make up a trade and keep him, but maybe Randy Wells would be okay as your end-of-the-bullpen long man.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you need a lefty in the bullpen, which they do, because Neil Kotz looks like he's pretty much done.
He didn't even get him up last night for the loogie, the left-handed one-out guy.
And you know how Piniella is. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with Piniella, but if Piniella doesn't believe in you, he's not going to play you. Yeah. But, you know, those guys are fairly fungible. I mean, you can go out and find a guy, you know, sign a guy as a free agent maybe, or trade for someone. That's what I would do. I mean, couldn't you look, you know, like Joe Beimel on the Nationals, couldn't you pick him up? I mean...
Well, you know, he was available. No one did pick him up until into March, probably because, you know, the dough kept coming down. It's Jim Callis. Visit always baseballamerica.com, and always visit my guy, Vuk, Jeff Vukovich, Murph's nationwide insurance agent of the year. I've been telling you about Vuk because he's solid. He's 30 years. He's in Park Ridge for all your insurance needs. Jeff Vukovich at Nationwide. Everybody knows Vuk. Someday you will also. All right, now, Jim Callis, the piece from Chris DeLuca, and I might have sent you, we might have emailed you this question ahead of time. Full disclosure, DeLuca says, boy, oh boy, the Cubs, you know, let get away DeRosa and Jason Marquis. I'm also thinking that he could have written the similar column about the White Sox, the starting pitcher gone, Javi Vasquez, and the infielder, third baseman, right-handed hitter like DeRosa, Joe Creedy. So my question, and you've had a few minutes to maybe look it over, Jim, now that you need it, you're great off the top of your head, but who would you think is missing the two guys more? The Cubs missing, as Chris DeLuca says, missing DeRosa and Jason Marquis, or the White Sox missing Javi Vasquez and Joe Creedy?
That's a tough one, because I really think in each case, you know, we were just talking about Marquis, that each club misses one of those guys. I don't really think Marquis would have bumped any of these guys from the rotation. I mean, he's not better than Sean Marshall. And, you know, I mean, Josh Fields needed to play. Joe Creedy had a bad back. So I think that was just a natural to let him go. I mean, and move on. Because you couldn't keep Fields in the minors again. And you weren't sure Creedy could stay healthy. So I don't consider either of those guys necessarily a loss. I mean, I think the teams made rational decisions. I complained from day one when the Cubs traded DeRosa. I've never understood this fascination with Milton Bradley, who gets hurt and causes trouble. I mean, he's very productive when he's healthy, but that's not 162 games. And then you got to get rid of Mark DeRosa to make room for him. And I mean, Aaron Miles, you know, I said at the time, no substitute for Mark DeRosa. I thought you could make a case that Mark DeRosa was the MVP on last year's club. Sure. I mean, you know, you got what he does that so few guys can do is he can play 3 or 4 positions. So if you have an injury, say to Aramis Ramirez, then you can just plug Mark DeRosa in the third, or you could platoon him at second with Fontenot.
Now, and that's correct. Now, in defense of Jim Hendry, not that these guys are as good as DeRosa, but now he has given Lou Piniella Scales, who is a minor leaguer, but he's had a nice little couple days. Doesn't mean he will. He's not DeRosa. He's also given him Ryan Friel. He's not Mark DeRosa, but he's the same type of guy in that he can play multiple positions. You do have Fontenot, who's actually playing better glove at third than I thought he would. So, yes, they're not DeRosa, but the interesting, I believe, Jim Callis, about Lou Piniella, he's a master when it comes to the old Rubik's Cube. I call the Lubik's Cube. He really has fun when he's got multiple guys to move around.
No, you're right, but I will say I think Bobby Scales again is one of these journeyman types who like to fill in. And
I understand.
Friel's best season was 6 years ago.
Right.
And he's never hit like that again. And I just think you miss Martirossi. But then we'll flip around with the White Sox. I could see in one hand where you're thinking, we get rid of Vasquez, we beef up the farm system, and it was apparent after the playoffs last year that Ozzie Guillen didn't trust Javier Vasquez at all, and I think everybody watched Javier Vasquez pitch. If you're a White Sox fan, you never wanted Javier Vasquez to pitch a playoff game for your club again.
And you're right. But you got to the playoffs with him.
Right, but he eats innings, and then you're counting on Contreras and Colon, and I think they really miss him.
Would a Sox fan, and I did this actually segment the other day, is there a Sox fan out there that wouldn't want Vasquez right now? He's had his normal run, 7 starts with the Braves. He's 3-3. He has pitched 6, 7 into the 8th inning every start. He has not missed a start. His walks are 11, and his strikeouts are 50. 5-0. His ERA is in the mid-high 3s, below the league average. He's $10 million. But you know what? I think right now I'd like to have him as number 4 if I'm Ozzie Guillen.
I totally would, because you have Contreras and you have Contreras out, and now you have Colon in rotation. It's a mess.
Exactly. Hey, tell you what, Jim, I got about 3 more things on the yellow pad. Can you hold over a quick second?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Beautiful. I want to invite everyone to go to baseballamerica.com. Visit with Jim Callis. Phone right now if you want to jump in our conversation at 644-6767. And our text results when we come back. Jim, I'm going to tell you what the scoreheads have said. I asked, if you were a general manager and you needed a first baseman because of an injury, and your scouts told you could get letter K, you could get Konerko. H, you could get Hoffpower. Or L, you could get Derek Lee. And I know the money in there. That's too confusing for me. But, Jim, when we come back, I want your text vote. If you can have one of these 3 guys, Konerko, Hoffpower, or Derek Lee. You up for that?
I'm up for that.
And a Hawk Harrelson soundbite from yesterday talking about the White Sox, I want you to hear also. Thanks. Hang on. It's Jim Callis. It's Murph. We have Sox tickets between now and 2 o'clock. When you hear Hawk Harrelson's voice saying, "Dadgummit," call the contest line first, and we'll send you. It's a week from tomorrow. Also, the score, we're talking baseball. Best in the business, Jim Callis, executive editor, baseballamerica.com. He's working on the baseball draft, got his college guys, the high school guys all lined up. He covers the minor leagues and the major leagues. All right, Jim, my text question today. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. 67011 if you want to get a final tally in. 67011. Text me the letter K, Konerko, the letter H, Hoffpower, or the letter L, as in Derek Lee. And the question is, if you were a general manager and your team's first baseman maybe went down or got sent 50 days out by MLB or whatever, you could have one of these 3 guys. Would you want Konerko, Hoffpower, or Lee, not counting the money and all those variables? Jim, I have a very interesting result coming in from all the scoreheads. Did you want to hear from them first, or did you want to go for it yourself?
Well, let me go first, and I wonder if I'll be in conjunction with them. I think I would go with Micah Hoffpower right now, to be honest with you. I think the production of all 3 of those guys at this point in their careers, Konerko and Derek Lee are not in their primes anymore, would be pretty similar. And I'd take Hoffpower because he's younger, and I think, not that he's super young, but I think he's more in the prime of his career, and he hits left-handed, which, Konerko obviously doesn't. So I might be very tempted to go with Micah Hoffpower. I think he's got more power than Derek Lee at this point.
Well, the results are very, very interesting. We have 37% of the scoreheads said, "I'll take Paulie Konerko." 37% also said, "I'll take Micah Hoffpower." 26% Derek Lee. Now, we have to remember that sometimes Cub fans love their guys and sometimes Sox fans love their guys. So we don't know if this is all good, fair, objective texting in. But it's almost split dead even between Konerko, Hoffpower, with Derek Lee a little behind. Just about where you probably would figure Chicago baseball fans would text in their car real quick, right?
Exactly. And like you said, we weren't looking at money, but if you start to do money, what you have to give up to get them, then it's easily Hoffpower.
And I've got a quick soundbite for you. This is from the White Sox television yesterday. The sort of a disappointing 4-0 shutout from the Cleveland Indians. And about midway through the game, I found this just a 3 or 4 second soundbite from Hawk Harrelson to be very interesting. Let's listen to the Hawk talking about the White Sox.
We are a good ball club that is not playing good baseball.
Now, he had more reasons behind it. It's sort of unfair. We have the minute-long clip we don't have time for. But in general, let me hear that, Jay Zawoski.
We are a good ball club that is not playing good baseball.
Now, I want to open up the phones for when Jim Callis departs in a few minutes. 644-6767, Sox fans. Do you agree? And, it's hard to define good, bad, and all that. But, Jim, I thought it was interesting that Hawk would say it the way he phrased it.
Yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit more optimistic than I would be. I mean, I don't think they're a terrible club, but, I mean, you got 2 pretty big holes in rotation, and Gavin Floyd's not pitching well. You've got Alexi Ramirez has been terrible. You've got, besides him, 3 or 4 holes in the lineup. There are an awful lot of holes in that club for me to call it a good team right now.
Let's slide a quick phone call in, and then we'll let our guy Jim Callis get back to working on the baseball draft. When we got that? Early June?
June 9th this year.
June 9th. And you can't trade draft picks.
Nope, no trading.
And, it's always sort of interesting, especially in the winter trading window there around December, and you'll hear a lot of folks, and, I don't know all the football rules or NBA or salary cap, and, you got to match up salaries. Every league's got their own stuff. But very often you'll hear someone say, well, you know what, maybe the Cubs could trade a couple draft picks for such and such, but it doesn't work that way, does it?
No, you can't trade the draft pick. You can't even trade a guy. Murph, you got to wait a year until after you sign him before you can trade him.
Because that would be circumventing the rule.
Well, what happened was, I'll make this real quick story.
Yeah.
Didi Caviglia was drafted by the Expos back in the mid-'80s, did not want to play for the Expos, refused to sign with the Expos, and then he only signed with them on the condition that he immediately get traded to Texas. And so they basically, you can't trade draft picks, but they didn't want players manipulating the system, saying, I hate this team that picked me, I'm only going to sign if you trade me. So that's why you have the rule that you can't trade a guy for a year after he signs.
For another place, another time, all sports, not just baseball, Jim. Isn't it interesting how the owners will work out their collective bargaining agreement, such as, the NFL salary cap, but yet they can't wait when it serves their purpose to run around and circumvent that salary cap by getting upfront bonuses and spreading stuff out to circumvent the salary cap, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's been going on in baseball for like 50 years, when they used to have bonus rules before the draft.
Right.
I remember talking to guys, and they'd say, basically, they'd pass these rules at the winter meetings designed to, make it more equitable.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, they were at the bar trying to figure out how you could, work around the rules. So.
All right, now that we got the players where we want them, how can we get it so the way we want it? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they work it out between themselves over the cocktail. All right, we got the players' union right in the corner, but now we're going to get our own little way to work around it when it benefits us. Hey, Jim, great job. Always fun. I know the fans love reading you at baseballamerica.com. Thank you for your time, James.
Thank you, Murph. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Jim Callis, it's Murph. Everyone on hold, we'll get right back to you. All right, Sox fans, do you agree with Hawk Harrelson?
We are a good ball club that is not playing good baseball.
644-6767. Back in a flash. Murph-a-palooza. Murph on the home stretch. Everyone on hold. Going to rapid-fire rifle in a few minutes through these phone calls. Hey, Jay Zawoski, you're real good at math and numbers. We've established that.
Okay.
Even with the computer, you can sometimes come up with the calculator with a while. All right. Bobby Jenks was fined $750 by the league. You read that story, right?
Right.
$750. All right, now, you got a pencil and scorecard ready there, Jay? Get your pen out there.
Yes.
Okay. Put a little lead in your pencil. All right. Bobby Jenks' salary, $5.6 million. So put like a 5.6 in the letter M. Or, for you, put 5,600,000. No, really.
All right.
$5,600,000 equals $750. Okay, next to it, $750.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Now, do you know how to do this? Scratch the zero off the end of $5.6 million, the $5,600,000. Scratch that final O off, zero rather, and then scratch the zero off the $750 fine. That would mean if Jenks were making $560,000. See what you got now? $560,000.
It would be $75.
Would be $75.
Right.
All right, now knock off the 2 more zeros off, the 1 0 off the money and the 1 0 off the fine. Now, if a guy were making, now what do you got for the $56,000, what would the fine be as far as the same ratio?
$7.50. $7.50.
50 cents. Okay, just wanted to check.
Heck, I'll come out to your house and give you this money.
So if someone's making $56,000 in their salary and they can fire a fastball 100 miles an hour behind a guy, they get docked $7.50 from their pay. Let's get back to the phone lines. It's Kim from Rochelle. Hello, Kim.
Hey, Murph, how's it going?
Good, Kim. Thanks for holding in there. What do you have for me, my friend?
Well, I'm going with the Mark Grace clone of Micah Power for first base.
Did you call him the Mark Grace clown or clone?
Clone, I guess.
Well, that's what I thought you said, but my earphones had some wax in them here.
He reminds me so much of Grace.
Well, you know what? I think he's got more pop than Mark Grace, don't you? A little more bangability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kim, always good to hear from you. Rochelle, the home of the diamond, where the 2 big train lines cross and form a diamond. Let's go to Mario's on the north side of Chicago. Hello, Mario.
Murph, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Hey, Mario, $750 fine for a guy making $5.6 million would be like about $5, $6, $7 for people.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah, well, exactly. If you're lucky to be even in that pay range. Yeah. Oh, my God. So who's your first baseman if you could grab one of the 3 out of Chicago right now?
Mark, I'm listening to the last guy. He confused me. He said Derek Lee for sure. There's no doubt about it. You got D-Lee. I mean, here's a guy who, you know what, all his career has batted 300. He is a great defensive player.
Hold on. Let me jump in. Let's have a conversation. I like where you're going, Mario. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Do you feel that he is a great first baseman now or 3-4 years ago?
I think he's a great first baseman.
Now? Defensive. You're talking gloves.
First baseman gloves.
Wow.
Okay, I'm not talking about bats.
You think he's still got the glove, huh?
He saves. He has saved so many games.
Mario,
this guy has made our infield a greater infield.
Are you talking about that big guy number 25, right?
Okay. You want to put Micah Hoffpower in there? You might as well put him as a DH.
But they don't have one.
Okay, exactly. You might as well come in the American League.
I love it. Mario, always fun to spar back and forth. Do phone again, okay, buddy?
I will.
All right, I appreciate it. Jay, between now and 2 o'clock, you know, when Hawk says dadgummit, we're going to take the first caller at the contest line, right?
That's right.
Dadgummit. Not the regular line, the contest line. Now, got a soundbite here. Let me ask you. Jermaine Dye yesterday gets thrown out of the game. He threw the helmet and it hit the ump. Let me ask you this. If Milton Bradley receives 2-game suspension handed down from the league, MLB. Now, yes, he's still appealing it. If Milton Bradley gets 2 games for the bill of his helmet kissing the bill of the umpire's cap, how many days should Jermaine Dye be suspended for this?
Let's take a look at the last pitch, and we'll take a look at the result. Jermaine thought it was well inside, and then when he throws the helmet, after arguing with Mike DeMuro, unfortunately the helmet hits DeMuro, and Ozzie went out to try to protect Jermaine, but by the time he could get there, the helmet had already hit Mike DeMuro.
Comcast Sportsnet. Very interesting. Bradley gets 2 games suspension, though he's appealing it, for the bill of his cap touching the bill of the umpires. He made contact. No 2 ways about it. He should be suspended, in my opinion, for 1 game. Now, which is more severe? Contact with the ump, the bill of the cap touching the bill of Bradley's helmet, or a player throwing his helmet backwards towards the umpire. It took a funny hop up in the air, like flubber, Super Bowl, if you go back to those, and makes contact with the umpire. Is that 0 games, 1 game, 2 games, or is it even more than Milton Bradley? Let's go to Steve from River Forest on the score. Hey, Steve.
Murph, how you doing?
I'm fine. Steve Hawker, you're a Sox fan. What'd you think of Hawk saying, well, here it is right here?
And Hawk, there's a lot of people not particularly happy with the record of 15 and 17 coming into play today, but it's even more remarkable that we're there when you consider we're second from the bottom in hitting, second from the bottom in pitching, and second from the bottom in defense. And yet only 2 games under 500 with a chance to get hot and move right back in the middle of the race, despite some woeful statistics.
Well, as you know, numbers in baseball can be the most misleading things in the game. But no, what we are right now is we are a good ball club that is not playing good baseball.
All right, now that's if anyone just joined us. Steve from River Forest, do you agree with Hawk?
Oh, Murph, I don't. To tell you the truth, I think that the Hawk is a little bit, I hate to call him a homer, but he's, he sides a little bit too much with our own Sox when he knows that maybe he's not right. So I'd have to say that, the Hawk, I really agree with Stone. I mean, he laid it out there. We are, I would say, a mediocre team that just hasn't come together. Burley's pitching okay, saved the last start, but beyond that, our pitching has really not been that great. I think that, our offense, clearly, we're not doing anything. Those bats there's no consistency at all.
Hey, hey, Hawk, what do you think of Steve from River Forest?
Damn it.
All right, now, Steve, let me ask you this. As a great Sox fan and Javi Vasquez, did you think that he got sort of run out of town by the management trying to let everyone know, well, he can't win the big game? Would you like to have Javi Vasquez as your first starter right now?
Yes, I would, and I'm okay with the about $11 million. And I know that they said, all he does is he eats innings. But you know what? That's what we need right now. You need to eat innings to get to the playoffs, and all those strikeouts that he's capable of doing. I didn't like it when he went to Atlanta, and I don't like it now. So
Congratulations, you've just been named the Browns Chicken Caller of the Show.
Hey, Steve, nicely done. I'm going to send you to go visit my friends at Brown's. Lunchtime, beefs and Brown's chicken for dinner. All right, buddy?
Sounds good. Thanks a million, Murph. Keep going.
Hang on, Steve. Sox fan Steve. Let's go now. I understand we got point, counterpoint. Car phone Mike says, let me end here, Murph. Hey, Mike.
Well, yeah, I agree with the Hawk. And let's go back a year. First of all, the guy you just had on from Baseball America, he would have said the same thing about the Sox at this point last year. But he won't go on the air now and say, you know what, I said the same thing last year. So, like, what I'm saying now doesn't necessarily mean anything. Also, I think you got a lot of the Sox. You got a lot. You got to look at the schedule. You've got a lot of teams that early in the year get off to good starts, and by the end of the year, I mean teams like Texas, Toronto, and Kansas City. When you look at them in August and September, most likely they're not going to be there. But we played a lot of games against them early in the year. That doesn't help.
Well, you're right. You're very well spoken, and a clip from Hawk, which I didn't have a length of time right there, Carphone Mike. He said the same thing you're saying at the end when he said, seems like every team we've played has been right when they're in a hot streak. And, that can be very true. A lot of fans go, well, it doesn't matter. You got to play everybody. But it is possible to always be running into the buzzsaw at that particular series.
Now, that being said, I mean, if you truly believe that Gavin Floyd is going to continue to pitch like this and Ramirez is going to continue to hit like this and a few other guys, but I would say that most likely chances are Floyd will turn it around and Ramirez will start hitting and a few other, guys, get Brian Anderson back in there, get Tomey's average up a little bit. But if you believe that what you're looking at now is going to be what you're getting for the year, it's going to be a bad year. But I really don't believe that.
Hey, well spoken, Mike. Good to visit with you. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. This hour brought to you by Menards. Hey, look. Hey, Swami Murph's here. I predict Doug Collins will be hired as an NBA head coach next week, but not by the Bulls.
That's no good.
I predict Dusty Baker will burn out his starting pitching rotation with the Cincinnati Reds by July 1st, as always.
You're absolutely correct.
Thank you. I predict Ryan Friel will turn out to be a big pickup for Jim Hendry. I predict Scotty Pods is going to be big for the White Sox. Hey, thank you, Swami Murph. You know, Pods is running around like he's 25 years old out there. Josh from Wilmette is on this. Thank you, Swami Murph. Hello, Josh.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, it's Murph. What do you have?
Hey, I'm a diehard Cubs fan, but I follow the White Sox just as much as I follow the Cubs. And I really think that Hawk is confusing good with mediocre/poor. With their problems up the middle and in center field, desperately picking up Scotty Pods. They're racing around trying to just reach 500. It's going to be a long season for them. I don't even think they'll have 80 wins.
Well, I'll tell you what, 81 wins might be enough to sneak in to that division right now. Kansas City and Detroit tied. Minnesota game back, Sox 2.5 back. It's up for grabs. And you're a Cub fan. Did you see the National League Central Division standings at all yet today, Josh? It's amazing. You want to hear this?
Yeah, I'll hear it.
All right, 3-way tie for first in the National League Central, and the Cubs are a half game back in fourth. You got a dead heat, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, St. Louis, 3-way tie, and the Cubs in fourth place, 1.5 game back. Both divisions up for grabs. Josh, great to hear from you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, buddy. And, Jay, did we get a winner then for our White Sox tickets? Want to congratulate our guy, Jay Zawoski.
Tom Carter.
You're not eligible. Tommy, way to go. 2 tickets. Sox Buckaroos. A week from tomorrow, Sox Park. Courtesy those tickets of the White Sox and 670 thescore.com. Jay, I'm working on tomorrow's text question. It's a Blackhawks question. When we come back, want to get your opinion if it's strong enough for our text question. And it is terrific around town column. Crane Kenny expects to stay as Cubs sale is finalized. And yesterday, Sun Times, see the business section now? It's the IRS is looking at how Sam Zell, and I will say this, almost pulled a Bernie Madoff on the ESOP employee stock option program. He took in my opinion, employees' money and used that to buy new stock issue, which is dilution, if you follow that, which means he basically took the retirement money and bought what you would call sinking submarine worthless stock. Other than that, everything's fine. All right, Jay Zawoski, tomorrow, let's preview my text question. Yes or no? Now, Jay, you're my guy. Yes or no? Would home ice be a advantage for the Hawks in the conference finals?
Yes.
Which means you got to root for the Ducks. Because the Blackhawks get home ice if the Ducks beat the Red Wings. If the Red Wings beat the Ducks, then the Hawks have 3 at home if it goes 7 only, right?
Correct.
So the question is, would home ice be an advantage? Yes, but yet 66% yesterday of our texters said, we want to see the Detroit Red Wings.
How about home ice versus the Red Wings? Can we arrange that somehow?
You know what Patrick Kane did say, though? He says the short flight to Detroit almost makes up for that one extra game on the home ice when you're flying back and forth to L.A.
True.
So, plus the old legs of Detroit. Speaking of Detroit and Anaheim, real quick, I understand we have a soundbite here. Coach Q, Coach Quenville. Hey, give me the scouting report on the Ducks and the Dead Wings.
Anaheim's probably the hottest team in the league going into the playoffs. I think they surprised everybody by their run, and beating San Jose it was a huge step. And then if they beat Detroit, that's an even bigger step. So they're playoff tested. They've got some good experience. They've got key defensemen that know how to play and know what it takes. And they got a top line that's as probably good as any line in the league. So they got all the right kind of weapons.
Go Hawks! Murph saying, thanks for listening, thanks for calling. Hey, Trebs, when are we going to have Tool of the Week?
Tomorrow. Now go have another beer. Don't
See you later, everybody.